Welcome, it's your friendly neighborhood Badger here, and I am back for a video on harvest crafting in 3.14. Now, as most of us know, there has been some nerfs coming through to harvest crafting in 3.14. Today in this video, we are not here to discuss whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, how much it's been nerfed. We're not here to discuss that. All we're here to discuss is how to best utilize the new harvest in 3.14. All right? So today we're going to be talking about, first of all, exactly what is being removed from harvest crafting. So I've got the 4 main things that are being removed here, okay? So first of all, replacing a random property of a specific type with another one of the same type is being removed. So what this means is, for example, the harvest craft of remove fire and add fire is being removed. So you can't use this to re-roll the mod levels or try and get rid of a resist and add something else. The little caveat there is remove non and add is still staying. So something like remove non-fire, add fire, that is staying, okay? Very important to know. Secondly, divining specifically is being removed. So once again, I'm going to use fire as an example. Basically divining, re-rolling the random properties of an item based on like only the fire modifiers of an item, that's being removed. Now, this also means the divines of just suffixes or divines of prefixes, those are staying from what we know so far. The other thing I would like to say here is this is coming out before we know the full extent of it, but from what we've been told from the manifesto and everything like that, all of this stuff is very accurate, and if it is changed, I will do a follow-up video or anything like that. The third thing that's being removed is any sort of annulment. So removing any specific type of modifier. So removing fire, removing influence, removing anything like that. Once again, removing non and adding is staying, okay? And then lastly, as a caveat to all of this, augmenting anything onto an influenced item is not going to work anymore. So if you've got a augment file, that's not going to work on any sort of item that is influenced. Now, I can also assume that this is also going to be the case on something like a fractured or synthesized item. Actually, not fractured. Anyway, it's a bit muddy on whether it's going to work on fractured or influenced, fractured on or synthesized items because they're technically influenced, right? However, an influence of an augment of an actual influence modifier is staying. So you can have a warlord's item and augment an influenced modifier onto that warlord's item, and that will stay, okay? So this is the extent of what is being changed. Now, it is also, the other big change that is coming through is we're going to be seeing 60% more harvests, but less crafts within those harvests. So we can assume that we're going to be generating the same kind of amounts of harvest crafts over time. We're just going to be seeing the garden more and spending less time in the garden. So that's something very important to keep ourselves reminded of as well. Now, again, I just want to reiterate, we are not here to argue whether the changes are good or bad to harvest crafting, okay? But what we are here to do is to learn how to best utilize the new 3.14 harvest to craft items. Now, this is primarily going to be talking about SSF style crafts or buying bases to then craft on yourself. We're not talking too much on fossil crafting or beast crafting or using other types of crafting within Harvest. If you want a video on more specific using beast crafting and Harvest together, let me know in the comments down below, but this is primarily focused on Harvest crafting. I may mention some things here and there about the types of items that we're crafting. We're also not talking about whether it's easier or cheaper or faster to just buy the item from trade, because we want to basically give Harvest, I want to give Harvest back into the hands of you, right? Again, let's just keep our comments civil on all this kind of stuff. I'm just here to try and help and basically teach you a little bit more about crafting with Harvest. Okay, we will focus on 3 items. You ready? First of all, generic resist and defense items for slots. We're going to focus specifically on boots, boots with move speed, life, and resistances. And then the second item that we're going to craft is an example of a curse on hit ring that you can use for your build. And then thirdly, we're going to talk about elevated mod items, specifically an item that is double influenced with one elevated mod, all right? Now, this is still a chase item. I would consider it a chase item. Things like double elevated mod items, obviously there is risk and reward in there, and we're not talking too much about that because that is a very high-end item here and not really needed for many builds, but we're going to be talking about one elevated mod and then one other mod as well, all right? So that is everything we have to say. I'm going to be doing this in sections, and firstly, we will be starting with the generic resist and defense item. So let's do that one right now. First of all, we will be starting with the generic resist and defense item. And today we are going to be using craftofexile.com to showcase all of these items crafting. So it's going to be basically emulated one for one of what actually happens in game. Now, this is being done live on Craft of Exile and everything like that as well. So there is a chance that, you know, it could take a little bit more currency or less currency than what you would expect in game, but, you know, average it out yourselves and everything like that, or go and practice on the emulator of Craft of Exile yourself along with this if you want to. It does really help you with learning how to craft items. I very much recommend the emulator on Craft of Exile. So, first of all, we are crafting something like this. Now, not exactly like this, but something that has a good amount of life, a good amount of move speed, and a lot of resists on it as well. I think I searched for around about 70 life, 25 or above move speed, and 90 or above total elemental resistance. Now, there is an argument that you guys are going to be like, whoa, I can just buy this from trade for like 10 chaos, all right? Yes, you can. These types of items, you can just buy yourselves on trade very easily. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about doing this yourself if you want to learn how to craft, or if you're in an SSF environment, you can do that as well, all right? I don't want to argue, because these boots are really cheap on trade, right? It's very cheap to do, but we're not going to argue about that. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? We are going to just get out of the full screen here, and we're going to go to Craft of Exile, and we're going to talk about these boots. So let's grab some boots, grab some Dex boots, and some Slink boots here as well. Now, I'll select the item level of 86, and I won't use any influences, because on these boots, we're not using influences, okay? Let's proceed right here. So we're going to also, with all of these items, be starting from a white base. Obviously, you can start with a base that has good life on it or anything like that, but once again, we're starting from the absolute scratch of crafting, okay? So what we're going to be doing here, or just like a random rare item, okay? So I like to basically, right from the beginning here, my favorite way of going about this is starting with harvest crafting and re-rolling speed. Now, re-rolling speed is meaning that we're going to basically see a nice speed roll and then figure out what we're going to do from there. So we can do one roll and we hit 20% move speed. Now, look, I don't really like move speed there, so I'm going to re-roll again, right? And we hit 25. Let's just stay on 25 here, but let's look at the other mods. We do have a tier 1 hybrid life, which is really nice right there, but we don't have any other life. Which means all of the prefixes are blocked. We've got some good lightning, we've got some good fire, so these boots are really good, just apart from this evasion rating right here. So we could decide to do something else, like we could decide to do a random annul, but that's very risky, isn't it? But we can't, so this is one thing that we can't do anymore. Remember, we cannot annul defenses, because that is being removed, okay? So from this base, I'd probably go, look, I might re-roll that again, and I might actually try re-rolling with life this time. Let's re-roll with life. We actually hit tier 2 life and tier 2 move speed as well, with some lightning and cold res and some dexterity. So you can even see just with the re-rolls, you're actually going to get fairly decent items just by doing re-rolls, right? And we'll re-roll again. So we hit tier 5 life, not very good there. And then we can, you know, maybe life again, we hit some good life, a prefix there, you know, we'll go back to speed, we'll re-roll again, and we hit something pretty good here. Look, right here, tier 2 move speed, tier 1 evasion, tier 2 life, and then we've got a suffix, and then, you know, I could finish it off, say I need some fire res for my build. Let's augment with fire res right there, and we just hit a tier 4 fire res. Done. These boots are really nice. We've got our move speed, we've got our evasion rating, our life. Now, yes, It is fairly up to chance what I was doing there. It was kind of targeted chaos orbs, but I'm just trying to showcase here that over a certain amount of time, you can just craft items pretty easy in an SSF type environment like this. Once again, we're not here to argue. Yes, you could buy this in 20 seconds off the trade website, but this is for people who want to learn how to craft and do this in Harvest themselves, all right? So those boots are completely done. That is more than what we were expecting there with the good life, the good move speed. Cool, let's move on to number 2, which is crafting a curse on hit ring. Let's move over to that right now. Now it's time to talk about the second item on our list, which is a curse on hit ring. Now I'm going to be using a flammability on hit ring here as an example, and this ring that you're seeing in front of you, it's not an amazing item. It really isn't an amazing item, but it does have the curse with some life and some resistances as well, which is perfectly fine in a medium budget type of item for a build, okay? So, this item right here can be done with both Warlords, or it can be done with a Delve base. Now, what I mean by Delve base is you can find flammability on hit on a ring in Fire Modifier Delve nodes, and it's actually fairly common to find it in there. So I'm going to be quickly going over both versions. So we're going to start with the Delve modifier version, and we're going to emulate that through Craft of Exile. Then we're going to talk about the Warlords modifier as well, all right? Now, once again, I am just going to keep saying this. We're not talking about whether it's cheaper to buy this off Trade League. It may very much well be cheaper to buy this off Trade League for you, but this is all about showing you what Harvest can and cannot do in the new league, all right? So let's escape out of this, shall we? And let's go to Craft of Exile. Let's get our ring happening up here. So we'll go to ring, we'll go to our Amethyst ring. Let's say I level 84, and we're going to proceed. First of all, I'm going to emulate dropping on the ground. I'm just going to quickly emulate, wait, we just need an open suffix. It's not even going to give us an open suffix. There we go. An open suffix, dropping a random item on the ground, which is our mod pool of our Delve flammability on hit ring. So this is like something that you would find in a Delve node, or that you would buy off trade, and say you want to get some life on here, right? You want to get some nice life, right? You know, base just like this, it's actually pretty nice. However, we've got our flammability on hit. Let's say that we want life. Now, right out of the gate, it's very easy for us to either try and hit life through something like a re-roll keeping suffixes, right? So we can try and hit life through something like this. We hit a, you know, tier 3 mana, so we could just craft life on with the bench if we wanted to, or we could keep going into something else here. Tier 3 energy shield, craft on life once again. Tier 1 evasion, we can also craft on life, or you can try your luck with something like a life aug. Now, do be very careful with augmenting anything in harvest crafting these days, because you cannot remove that. We could aug life, and then we could go back to reroll keeping suffixes, most likely. We can go again, you know, aug the life, and we hit tier 1 life right there as well, which is really, really nice. We could do something like that, but you can't just straight remove the life again and go again, all right? So something like this is really nice. We've got some nice mana and life and our flammability on hit ring, and that's just fixed it up a bit. And then we can also just craft on something else that we want. Say, for example, where, you know, we're a channeling type of build, so we can just add channeling right on top, right, just like that. And then there you've got your ring. Now, you could also do this on Warlord, but I actually say that it's much better to do it on a non-Warlord base if you want to hope for the best outcome that you possibly can have, all right? But let's try on a Warlord. Let's restart back into creating the item, into the jewelry, going onto a ring, going into Amethyst ring, going back to eye level 84, and we're starting with a base item again, as we're always going to be doing here. So what I would start with a Warlord influenced is you always want the chance when you augment an item with an influenced stat, say for example, one of these Warlord's Awakener items or anything like that, is you want to have the best chance that you can. Flammability on hit is a suffix, so what we're going to do is we're going to block the prefixes and keep a suffix open. Just, you know, chaos roll there, we've got 3 prefixes, and then we've got 2 suffixes open. I would then very much just slam on our Warlords and just, you know, see what we hit. We actually did hit flammability on hit, so as I'm saying there, that's actually a really, really nice way to start off even without harvest crafting. But say, for example, we didn't hit the flammability on hit, and we're going to try and re-roll for the flammability on hit. Now, flammability, or any curse on hit, most curses on here I think have a caster modifier. We can actually go re-roll into caster, and then we can have a fairly okay chance to hit. We got a tier 2 flammability here, but let's just say we want to go for the tier 1, so let's just keep rolling here until we hit something similar. So we got our tier 1 flammability on hit. We have noticed here that our suffixes aren't very good, are they? So, I would either keep rolling, because it's pretty cheap to re-roll caster, and you can find that in Harvest fairly easily, or we could try a risky annulment orb, right? So we can annul, oh, that was a prefix gone, let's try again, another prefix gone, let's try again, we got a suffix. You could either stop here and, let's stop here and try and go for some more crafts on top of that. So we can Harvest craft now into an, sorry, we can't actually augment, my bad. We could, we can't actually augment it, so, you know, you could annul, but then you can craft on some resistances. Let's do that, craft resistance. Any sort of resistance here, like a, where are we? Let's go for a cold res craft on there. We got our cold res, our suffixes are blocked, and then we can re-roll keeping suffixes, trying to hit some other good modifier here, and then rinse and repeat. We've got some energy shield, which is pretty nice, but let's just try and re-roll until we hit something good here. It's only adding one modifier most of the time there, but then that's kind of what you're doing here. You're re-rolling until you hit something like this, you know, maximum life, maximum mana. And then to end off, we can still actually augment influence modifier. If you wanted to have a little bit of fun, you could do something like this. Oh no, sorry, it's got 3 prefixes. Never mind, we already did get a Warlord, so that's actually pretty nice right there. So that's what you can do on Warlord's items. Now, I know it seems a little bit convoluted to go through all of this kind of stuff. And basically, at the end of the day, crafting is kind of convoluted in Path of Exile, as you've seen right here. Once again, though, all I'm trying to do is showcase that you very much can use Harvest Crafting to your advantage in an SSF environment, but you can also just buy these kind of items off trade itself. But I would say the best for your item itself, if you're doing a Curse Ring, is try and just find that Curse-based modifier in a Delve itself. If you need Frostbite, go to the Cold nodes. If you need Flammability like this one here, go to the Fire nodes, you know? It's a really good way to get your base, and then you can tweak it with Harvest and everything like that as well. That being said, Reforge or re-rolling in Harvest is going to be your best friend. I know that this seems like it's just RNG and all this kind of stuff here, but it's a lot more deterministic RNG than anything just like rolling a random Chaos Orb. Yes, you know, we're not here to argue, once again, whether you think this is good or bad for the game. It's just using Harvest Crafting to the best of its ability in the new league. Alright, now we're going to move on to the end game item, which is an elevated mod item. So let's move on to that craft right now. See you soon. Lastly, to finish off, we're talking about a endgame chase item. Now, this is not like a triple, quadruple elevated mod item that we're seeing in some crazy Harvest stuff that has been coming in 3.13, but it is still a double a double influenced with one elevated mod chess piece that we've got here. So we're going to be focusing on critical strike chance, which is elevated, and then a frenzy charge on hit, just with some crafted life on there as well. And there is the 10% increased max life right there as well, which is, you know, it's fairly nice. But you know, any other res that we could hit would be really nice right here, okay? So we're also not focusing on 6 white sockets, because that is going to be almost impossible to achieve in 3.14 to the nerf to split beasts. But we're going to be talking about an astral plate right here with elevated critical strike chance and a base frenzy charge on hit modifier right here as well. Okay, let's go to Craft of Exile. Now, I will preface this with, it is a Maven Orb, so Maven Orbs are expensive. This craft is an expensive high tier end craft, okay? So we're going to use Harvest Crafting a little bit here to craft this one right here. So first of all, we're starting with the item that we're taking the elevated mod from, and we're going to be applying it to our other influence to create our double influenced item. So we honestly can just start with any body armor. Let's just go this strength body armor. Let's go a full plate. The critical strike modifiers themselves are a tier of 84, so that's all we need to do here. An item level of 84, and we proceed right here. Okay, so same difference that we're going in right here, where we're trying to basically block the prefixes, which we've done just with, we can, roll a couple of times again if we want to block prefixes. Prefix, prefix, suffix, suffix. We can craft on a prefix here, just any random prefix crafted on. And then we have a chance to slam on what we want with our Hunter Slam right here. We got tier 2 critical strike chance, so that's not exactly what we want. What do we do here to get our tier 1 attack critical strike? Well, we start to go to harvest. And once again, our friends reroll are back on the table. And rerolling critical is actually really easy to hit what we want on our hunter base item. So, one reroll and we hit our critical strike chance. Right here, this is actually a freaking insane base already. With our critical strike chance, lightning res, fire res, max life, and a hybrid life there as well, which is pretty insane. You can see the rerolls can still be kind of awesome, but we're looking for that elevated mod. So this is where things get a little bit expensive, right? What we need to do is augment an influence modifier. So we have 2 influenced modifiers on this. So we've got our influenced chaos, physical taken as chaos, and a critical strike chance, and then we Maven Orb. All right, and we did hit our elevated Maven Orb, which was a 50-50. Last time I did this off screen just to test, it took me 6 Maven Orbs, so don't expect to get it every time, but now we have our item here that we can just take and put on to the other item. So to do this in Craft of Exile, I just have to go generate export data and just copy all of this here. So just give me 1 second, we're gonna copy that, and then we're going to restart onto our actual base. So this is the base that we're going to be crafting the Frenzy on, and then Awaken or Orbing them together, okay? So let's go to our body armors. Let's go to our strength body armors. We're using an astral plate. Then we're going to be going to 86, proceeding on. Once again, it is a suffix, so we're looking for blocked prefixes. Prefix, 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 suffix, suffix, and we slam on our Redeemer, which is what our Frenzy Charge is on. We didn't hit Frenzy Charge here, so we're just going to... The next best thing to do here is just back out and start to alt spam. Oh, whoops, not that. Alt spam, so into here, and then spamming alterations until we hit our Frenzy Charge. Now, I'm not actually going to do that right now here, but Frenzy Charge is, it's around about, I think it's around about like 200 to 300 alterations to hit that on a Redeemer base. I'm going to emulate that by just applying the mod pool right here of a Frenzy Charge. We're going to add that right here. And then the Awaken Orb happens, all right? So we paste this, and this is where you cross your fingers. It's always a crossing your fingers in an Awakener's Orb moment just to see what you can get. We're putting our elevated critical strike onto our Frenzy Charge on hit chest piece, all right? What did we hit? Okay, so we hit 2 suffixes and 2 prefixes here. This is almost the best case scenario that you can have right here. What I would suggest to do is to benchcraft suffixes, any random suffix for now, benchcraft on here. So we've actually full up our suffixes, and then we've got our prefixes here, which once again, chat and YouTube, can you figure out what we're going to be doing? Yes, we're going to be re-rolling right here. Sorry, not re-rolling the whole item. We're going to be re-rolling keeping suffixes, okay? And we're just going to keep re-rolling until we hit something really nice. Maximum life right here, which is really, really awesome. So we then could figure out if we want to try and re-roll for more prefixes, or if we want to augment an influence. Now remember, we cannot augment on an influence item any of these apart from augment influence, okay? We can augment an influence, and we can, you see, look, we got minions take reduced reflected elemental damage, and we could go once again if we wanted to. And we hit +1 level of socketed support gems. Right there, that's a super, super nice chest piece. We did get pretty lucky, but I'm just telling you right here that using Harvest Craft to create an elevated item, double influenced, 1 elevated item right here is still perfectly doable in Harvest Crafting, all right? Now, obviously, if you got a little bit more unlucky, or if you bricked the item with some other bad modifiers, you may want to start the item again and try and grind it up yourself, right? But right here, as you can see, this is perfectly doable. Now, perfectly doable on this endgame with quite the budget. Yes, you do need a lot of currency for this, and unfortunately, getting your triple elevated or your quadruple elevated items is going to be a lot more difficult to do. But I think that is just, just the case of what happens to a harvest nerf like this, all right? Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I know this was a lot to get through, and I spoke quite quickly, and I talked about a lot of everything right here. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask me in the comments down below. Once again, I'd just like to tag onto the end of this video. This is not talking about whether I think harvest crafting is better or worse, or whether it is better or worse for the game. I'm just trying to help everyone understand that harvest crafting can still be used, okay? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, if you want more of this, let me know in the comments below, or hit that subscribe button and give it a like as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'm done with talking, and until next time, Badger out.